So how do you define work?
Yes. Or what does work mean for you?
For you, I'm asking.
For me, it's how do I describe it? I've described it. It's how I cultivate my excellence.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm trying to improve my efficiency, like
Mm-hmm.
be less wasteful in everything that I'm doing in my life. And so when I'm doing something to reduce what I'm wasting,
Mm-hmm.
that I categorize as work, which uh, ends up cutting through everything. Really, it's like, am I using my time the best way that I can, right? Am I getting the most out of it? Am I repeating my mistakes? Am I learning from them? Yeah. So in the process of doing that, I am trying to waste less time, try to um, you'd say be more in touch with what I should really be in touch with, right? So it's sort of that is usually the drive for me. It's like that's how I'm looking at it. But of course, it becomes like a theme which cuts through everything.
So what about efficiency versus meaning?
Yeah, if it's efficient, it's meaningful. And when I'm saying efficient, it's not the mechanical efficiency. It's more
Mm-hmm.
like does it flow with everything? Like does it fit this jigsaw of my day,
Does
for
it connect?
example? Yeah. Like how does it help me achieve my day? Right? Like if 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 I look at my day, there's a number of things I'm trying to achieve throughout the day. But of course, like I'm trying to have a successful day. Now, there's all the unknowns that I can't, of course, account for. But I'm hoping everything else that I'm doing, no matter what the unknowns are, they won't phase what I'm doing. It's like, can a bad storm will come, like I have the contingency for that. Uh, Kara will check, I have something in the things that I'm doing, it will manage that. Or I may have to stop work and go pick up a child. Yes, I can still manage. If I can't, then there's something that will not stop that from happening through all the series of things I'm doing.
What
So,
if what if your day disappoints you and nothing's working?
yeah, then that's a sad day. So that's a sad day, and I try not to let that day taint the next day.
Why does it have to be sad?
Well,
It's a
because
day.
yeah, because sometimes sad days happen, like things actually will fail to work. But the problem is if today fails and then tomorrow fails because today failed, that's the problem. Because then even the day after will also fail because this today failed. So if today fails, let's not let whatever happened today
Mm. Mm.
spoil tomorrow. Like tomorrow you have an opportunity to win
To
tomorrow.
restart.
Like you can
Mm.
win tomorrow.
Mm.
But if because sometimes like life happens and today fails and you're so demoralized that you just drop everything. And so then it's like a series of days that you're losing. And it's very wasteful. But in the moment, you're so stuck with the suffering of this big loss of this one day that, and sometimes it's a very big one that it's going to need several days. But also sometimes it may be something that you could, if you try, like if you really put in some effort, you could improve the next day, make it a little bit better than the last one.
I
So,
find
so
it interesting
that's
that
the efficiency. Yeah.
I find it interesting that your definition of work is very dependent on a finite day,
Mm,
like the
it is.
efficiency of one day.
Yeah.
And because for me, I don't define it as one day. So it's very much like an open book every day without me differentiating today, tomorrow, the day before, any of that.
Well, why I do that is like I don't know if I've told you this one before. Like you can only live in the day.
You can,
Yeah.
but by that definition, you're looking at the next day's success or the previous day's failure.
Yeah, but I have to still manage them from today.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's like all I can do is going to be within today. And
Mm.
when I am today, I can look backwards to yesterday and what happened
Mm.
before, and I can try to predict what will happen tomorrow. But no matter what happens, whatever I'm doing, I have passed today. If I fail today, then tomorrow doesn't matter.
Mm. Yes and no, because when you're learning something, then this quest you're on, it relies on a future as well.
Yeah, it does,
Which
but I have to pass. How do like today has to be successful at at whatever cost for tomorrow to be. If it doesn't, if like if let's say God forbid my life ends now, then whatever, it doesn't matter.
of course
Whatever
it does.
comes next doesn't.
That's true. But I guess we're also programmed to be hopeful and look forward too.
Yeah.
And I think
Yes.
I think that's what I'm saying. I find it interesting that your definition of work is finite, so that in each day you're only progressing a day without thought of a future goal or a future excitement or a future fail, which I understand. All we have is now. But yeah, it's interesting because for me, that's not how I think.
And see,
Yeah.
this is why I'm having these conversations because it's like we're all right. It's just that
Mm.
we're using different models, if I may call it that way.
Mm.
Yeah, and they
Mm.
all work, but they all have you'd say different advantages and disadvantages. Um, yeah, so like for the day thing, that's just something I taught myself. I adapted, and so far it's been working great. Like what I love the most about it is I'm no longer stressed about the future.
Mm.
Yes,
Mm.
like it's like the for my how to manage my stress of the future is just by finishing today.
Mm.
Like if I finish today, I have one. If I don't finish today, then the future doesn't matter.
See, for me, my strategy depends on having a future hope for something.
Mm,
And today is not enough.
mm,
In that, today I will do everything I have to do, planned or unplanned, but I will still hope and have spend a good portion of my day thinking. Let's just have the baseline as we are alive. We're not dead today after the end of the day. That's a baseline. And whether you're dead or not, it really doesn't matter. But the baseline is I have time.
mm.
And in that having time, this day I'm in is only propelling me further into whatever it is that's
Yeah,
going on.
yeah.
So for me, when I wake up in the morning, I don't even stop my brain from thinking, today, this is what we're doing.
Mm,
And I find it interesting because it's for me, I can see it clearly. It's like a million fingers and everything's feeling somewhere, and it's like multitasking to the nth degree, whether it's thoughts, what I'm doing, what I want, what I don't want, all that going on. And I find if you told me to limit my day to the plannings of today, I would literally freeze. I
Why?
would freeze because my day and my thoughts are so broad that to bring me down to today, you're going to wake up and you're going to write a plan, you'll do a to-do list, maybe 10, 15 things, and that's what you're going to do. I can't operate.
So is it more like from having the knowledge of you want to know how all these other threads that are stretching out into the future and, you know, picking from the past, how they are, you'd say, unfolding? You want to keep a tab on that, or is it more
It's more the
from a
excitement.
planning perspective?
Yeah, it's like, I'll give an example. I wake up today, I did my to-do list had 3 things on it. 3. Ask me how many I've done. I've done like 15. Some for tomorrow, some for maybe a week away. I've planned meetings for the future. Like, then I went back in time to get information for a manager. Like, and if I held the premise that I had to plan and execute my day as I see fit, I actually feel I wouldn't be competent enough to do it successfully because my thoughts are much broader than my today. So my today very much says, okay, this is what I didn't do yesterday that I'm going to finish. This is what I have done today. This is what I wanted to do today. And all these other things that I didn't have to do today, but they fit because the day is free, come in. And I'm like, okay. So, and at the end of the day, I look back and I'm like, oh, I actually did a lot more than I planned, thought.
Than you planned, yeah.
And then other days I'll wake up with 0 plan. And I'll either do a lot, whether work or otherwise, personal, or I'll do nothing. And at the end of the day, I'll be like, what did I do today? And there's nothing, but I'm okay.
Can't be nothing. There always is stuff. Or is it nothing that fits into your bigger plans?
Like nothing as in, that's all. Every so often you have a day where you wake up and you're like, nah, nothing's happening today. And you'll either be on your phone, you'll take phone calls, you'll go out. For me, I'll go to Bunnings, I'll look at timber projects I want to do.
But all those are things.
But they're not things for my work day. You see, eh?
So I think that's where we differ. Because for me, everything, it's like everything. Even if playing games on my phone, it's specific games. There's going to be like about 2. It's like, so if I'm going to play a game, then I'll play at this time and at this time. And then I will watch this show. Then there's this other YouTube thing I need to finish. And of course, there's all the chores in between. There's like, you know, you have to clean, you have to do dinner for people. So there's the peak hour things which have to happen. But there's also my things which like I have queued up. It's like there's like 7 things for myself, which I may get to all of them or not get to all of them. However, it's not like I don't get to a point whereby I am asking myself, what should I do? It's more like I get to a point of like, between playing a video game for 15 minutes and doing drumming practice, which one do I feel like doing? It's like, okay, maybe I don't feel like drumming today, so I'll play a video game. Okay, so like we now have the thing for the 15 minutes, but it's like there were things like, yeah, it was more like we're going to take this one today, then maybe next time we'll take the other one. But it's not empty. Like it being empty, I find that very problematic because it's like there's a whole long list of possible candidates for that slot. How can I not have organized it such that it's obvious what needs to happen?
Okay. So then do you wake up every morning and write a plan?
No.
Okay. So you have it mentally, time blocked out. When I'm idle, this is what I do, what I don't do, and all that.
Well, it's been like I think I've curated it over time because like there was a time when I would have like maybe I have all sorts of things on my phone that I am always checking out. Then there's a time I deliberately reduced those. I'm like, okay, there's only going to be two things that I can use for entertainment on my phone. And I'm just going to limit it to those. And then instead of having many there, I'm going to add this other one thing and this other thing so that I have four options. So when I'm thinking about entertaining myself, it's one of four things. And then I have to pick from one of those four. And if I'm thinking about exercise, it's like one of two things. Or either I'm going to go for a run, or I'll go for a walk, or I'll just try to do, body weights here. And it's like there's one of three things. So sort of like over time, it has come that there's just I've reduced the options such that they don't overwhelm me when I have to, like when I change my mind. It's like if I'm changing my mind, it's going to be from this one thing to either one of these two. So there's like only three things in my list of options.
So what about being spontaneous?
That makes me uncomfortable.
Okay. Okay.
I can be spontaneous, but I have to plan where I am being spontaneous. It's like I still have to manage it.
You feel you have to be in control of something.
No, it's more like I don't want to be in a place that I don't know how to be. Remember that discussion we had? Well, you're asking me like, what if you run into someone on the street who has fallen? Like I work so hard to not be in that situation. It's like it's very, very, very hard. Like so many things have to happen for me to end up in that scenario. And if I end up in that scenario, like I am questioning myself, how did I end up in this situation? Like the day when I was on a run and then this young woman had an accident, like she ran into a tree. It's like, first of all, I was like, okay, what happened? Like, does this even happen? It's like, okay, what do you do in this situation? It's like, well, you go and help. It's like, okay, let's go and help. So me and some other people on the road, like we all gather around the car. It's like, okay, this one, someone's calling an ambulance. Like, nobody call an ambulance. I already called an ambulance. We're asking her, you okay? She say, I'm okay, I'm okay. But she looks like she was high on something. Like she's not bleeding or anything. The car is damaged. It's like she was high on something and she's on her phone. So we're like, okay, so what do you want us to do? Like, I'll call my mom. This is the number. So we call the mom. My mom is on the way. But in the same time, it was also like a shock. It's like, wow, this happens. But that's because I'm actively trying not to be in a situation where this is happening. Yeah.
But how do you feel when you realize that most people are okay to be spontaneous, but not you? Do you find then that your judgment of that affects your interaction?
No, it's fine. Like I'm okay with them being like, no, that's fine because I don't like for me, I don't do that. It's more like, how do I describe it? Like if you meet someone of another religion, it's like, oh, I'm Christian. Oh, me, I'm Hindu. It's like, okay, cool. You're Hindu, I'm Christian. Good, it's fine. Like we we can be different, but be okay together.
Coexist.
Yeah.
So the other thing I find interesting is your definition of work is purely what you're doing. What you're doing. Whereas for me, I have stopped viewing work as just only what I'm doing. It's all the other things as well. I think I've come to a place where I see work as something you start from the day you're born. You're working to stay alive, you're working to be a part of society, you're working to be a part of a family. Whether you're conscious of it or not, you're always working because you're always tuning yourself, investing yourself to something. It's not only what you define, but it's the collective around you as well. And I think for a long time, I didn't have a view of work as more than just what I'm doing. And I felt it boxed me in and it made me uncomfortable around my thoughts, emotions, and my spirituality. I felt I had to choose one for it to be valid, a valid endeavor. But ever since I started viewing work as it's literally being alive in the most optimum way possible, mentally, spiritually, financially, whatever it is, but being in your optimum state. Sometimes you achieve it, sometimes you don't. When you don't, you're aware that, okay, I have to do better in this area. I might do this and that, try that and that, but I have to adjust me to then achieve that. And that gave me so much more peace internally because all of a sudden I wasn't fighting the part of me that had to go to a job I didn't like to earn an income I needed. So my work is to give me, purely to give me an income. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. That's how I feel about it. It's irrespective. Irrespective of how I feel about it. It's there to give me an income to then further develop all these other things that have an interest in or that actually help me to feel a way I am happy feeling. Yeah, so then for me, what I do, case in point, my day job, I can get frustrated with what's happening and the people's reactions, but I've stopped judging it as the source of my problems. So it's like, sometimes I really don't like this job. It frustrates me. If I could leave, I'd get something else, but it pays my bills. So when is my next opportunity to take a break from this and do something I like?
Yeah.
And what helps me have that approach, I know, is because I've found a passion. In the absence of a passion, when I had only the job to think about, it used to drive me mental and it would drain me. But in the presence of something, an alternative, I am more accepting of this other work I don't really like.
It's just like your concept for work expanded.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying there, it's, it's like you're working toward being optimal in all of your life. Yeah, which is pretty much the same I was saying, because it's like your work cuts across everything, right? Like whether you know that you're doing it or you don't know, you are doing it. And I think usually, like, well, when somebody asks you how's work going, you think about your job. And that's always the response. Or if somebody asks you to introduce yourself, in most cases, like from our culture back home, you're going to introduce yourself, what you do for a job, and if people would like to add their whatever relationship status, I don't know why we do that, but another thing is like you're trying to define yourself through all these things, but they can't fully encompass all of the things that involve you.
Yes, and I can't even remember whether for me it was a deliberate moment when I realized that my work was not just what I did. I can't remember how it all came apart together. I would be lying if I told you this was the moment and then this. But what I've been mindful of for a very long time is I want my internal state and my external to match.
Mm.
I was very aware that I never wanted to be perceived as anyone other than someone of integrity and someone worth of trust. So in the absence of anyone knowing what I did or what I do or what I don't do, I wanted anyone that experienced me to come away with a clear definition or impression of who I am.
Mm.
That makes sense. And I want their impression of me to be true of who I am, because it drove me mad that you'd see people at church on Sunday singing and, like they were the epitome of Christianity, and what they were talking about didn't match what they were doing.
Yeah.
And that gap between, yes, on Sunday you're an usher in the church, but on Monday you're a thug.
Mm.
I never ever liked seeing that in people, and I know from a very early age it always grated me. I wanted my heart to speak for me before even I said anything. Granted, sometimes people miss that because they might encounter me when I'm having, say, an argument over something that's fundamentally not agreeing with who I am. For example, if you encountered me arguing with someone who's trying to rip me off, you'd be like, my goodness, this woman is very argumentative. But what they're not seeing is the principle of I will fight whoever tries to rip me off.
Yeah.
On principle. So they will miss that because they found the result rather than the intention.
I think sometimes people see it like it takes, I'd say it takes like a certain, level of experience to get to a place where you can see these things and appreciate them in other people when you see them. Yeah. But from the get-go, like it may not be that clear. And also like we're all like struggling in our own ways. Like we all have our struggles and our fears. So it's like if I see you doing something that I'm afraid of doing, I will kind of go like I'll quickly critique you. I can easily get judgmental because wow, you're doing something that I would never imagine doing that. So I should go on the side of people who are saying that's not right.
Yeah. So I think for me, like it would, like every so often I meet someone in the community, or Maureen will tell me something like, I'm like, but why? What have I done to that person to give them that impression? Where are they getting it from? Have they come to me and we've clashed over something? What is it? And then she'll tell me, I'm like, I knew you. She'll tell me, like, I've never had any dealings with that person. What is it about me that resonated with them to make them like me without even like engaging with me? So I think when I started to realize that who you are fundamentally will speak for you whether you mean it or not, I started to be more mindful of what I'm doing, both in there, what I'm saying, and on occasion what I'm thinking, and try to align them. Because if someone walked to me, especially someone in our circle, and said, Paula is a thug, that would actually shake me. Because I'll be like, what did I do? Because being a thug is not in my person. It has never been, and I actively guard against anything that would give that impression from myself or someone else. So if someone came and said Paula is a thug, that is immediate concern for me to switch and actually pay attention to why is that perception out there. And
what is it about you that's making
Yeah.
them see that. Yeah.
So, and I think for me, that's where I've broadened my thought on work, because the minute something like that is observed and fed back to me,
It becomes work.
it becomes now something I have to work on, because I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, that I don't like.
Yeah.
So that has to change. And again, it's not work I set out to do, but it's work that doesn't match with who I am. So it has to be done. It will take precedence over everything else. Because in that moment, I have to make sure, one, I rectify it, two, I engage with that person enough for them to see that if that's the perception I gave them, it's not true.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
and
I completely, I'm in complete agreement with that. And
mm,
it's the same as well for me. Like, it's more like, and I have this manager, we're trying to get along at the beginning, right?
mm,
And I do what I need to do. We have our catch-ups, and he's trying to give me feedback, but he's holding back in a way,
mm,
and he's
mm,
being subtle about it,
mm,
sort of talking around it. And I'm going like, hey, look, if there's anything that's coming through, because I know I'm new here and I probably have a different working style, and I might be rubbing people the wrong way, just let me know so I can know how to adjust. Because if me, I'm counting on you to bring through the feedback, because I don't think the client is going to give it to me directly if they're uncomfortable about something. They'll probably come to you, but I hope you channel it back exactly the way you got it. Otherwise, if nothing's coming through, I'm just going to keep doing whatever I'm doing, assuming
mm,
that everything is fine. So
mm,
if you don't, I'm counting on you to tell me, because if you don't, then it's going to keep happening until you say.
mm,
So a few weeks later, he says, "Are you sure you want me to tell you that?" I'm like, "Just tell me. Me, I'm fine.
mm,
I can manage it." So he tells me, this other person you worked with, they were concerned about this. They are used to doing it this way, but you do it this way. Yeah, so they are not happy about this. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So he goes through like a whole list of feedback. I'm like, okay, cool, thank you. I'll go see what I can do to influence the feedback. So I work on it. And so the next time we catch up, he's so happy. He's full, oh wow, you actually acted out on that feedback. This is really good. There's very positive feedback coming back now. I'm like, okay, see, you told me what I needed to work on. I worked on it. And if there's more stuff, you let me know. And then a few months later, we're having a catch up, and he tells me, "Ha, you misled me." I'm like, how? It's like I got comfortable with giving direct feedback to you, because you filter out and you don't take things personally. You go, you work on your stuff. I tried this with someone, it backfired. They
mm,
completely got shattered. They completely took it personal. They completely misunderstood.
mm.
And so now I'm having to manage that. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry about that, but that's not what I intended. Because like for me, I need more data. I need more data so I can know what to work on. Now, of course, it
Mm,
may not apply for everyone, and
mm,
yeah, like you see, like I think it takes like courage, like to get to a place where you acknowledge that,
mm.
look, I like the work is there, and I'm probably going to keep doing it, but it's fine. I have to do it, and I'll do as I go.
And that's true. Like, I am one for direct feedback. If you want to tell me something and you bit about the bush play, I just feel like, why are you wasting your time? Just say it. Own your story and deal with it. And for me, it's twofold. One, I like direct feedback. And two, I give direct feedback. And in a work situation, people actually struggle with that. But I've cultivated the approach of giving the feedback, and the person doesn't know whether I am insulting them, or like it's not emotional at all. Like I give it, and yes, sometimes you might think I'm being blunt, but when you walk away, you're like, she didn't insult me, she wasn't rude, she was professional, the language is clean. Maybe my ego was bruised, but there's nothing wrong with the words.
Yeah.
And I find it takes a different kind of person to actually come and work with me again and not think about that particular activity. And the other thing I've observed is people that I've ended up in that situation with that were more evolved actually seek me out to work with me because of that. Because they know I will, you know what? Play, this is not cool because of this and this. I think we should have done that. You're my manager. You do it how you see fit. But FYI, I don't think so. And now I have, it's not even, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, because I'm always mindful of how I come across, like when I say something, how is it going to be perceived? Am I going to offend? Am I going to insult? Do I need to be direct in this moment? Can that person's personality handle it? Are they resilient enough to understand me? And you know, it is such a fine line because every so often I meet people who aren't resilient, and I'm like, I know 2 sentences, this person is not going to survive, they're not going to understand who I am. And sometimes I hold back because I'm like, you know what? In this moment, my feedback is pointless. I need to preserve their person and their integrity and how they feel. And I just let it go. And it might be a quick email saying, hey, actually, this is not quite right. Can we do this?
Yeah.
Saying that though, there are other people who I encounter and I can see they're fragile, but they're so egotistical that they need to be told because at the point they're at, it's important that they have the information. And it's important that I'm not speaking just for myself, but there are other people I'm working with to come to that solution. So in this personal work I keep doing, sometimes I get it wrong, don't get me wrong. Other times, most times I feel I get it okay. I've learned to rely on the group. All the work I do is group work. It is a rare occasion where I have to speak for myself. 95% of the time, I will happily voice a consensus opinion that no one wants to hear.
Yeah.
Because I have allowed myself to be in that space where I accept sometimes it's not all comfortable when you have to say something. And I know not everyone wants to say it, so I'm willing to stand up and say it for them. But you know our history back home. We come thinking the boss is king. You can't say boo. It took a lot of work to get that place. And it's like, and you can't even get there and say, now this job is done. No. It's a forever shift and a change.
It is. It's always going to, because it's always at the back of your mind. And when you're least looking is when to grab you. So you have to be on the look for it.
You
Otherwise,
do.
otherwise, it's like, man, like you've touched on that thing of where you come from home and you're thinking the boss is like, you know, it's like your objective is to whatever impress your appease, appease or impress the boss. We did that stuff for years when we just come here. But eventually you get to a point you realize like it's not, how can I say, like it's not translating for you. Like you're lost within your own drama, right? It's like you're trying to find your way to progress, but it doesn't make sense. Then you fall into this weird crisis where you're questioning yourself, like, why am I doing what I'm doing, right? And working your way out of that to come to a place where you can, you know, the thing you're saying earlier, whereby it's like, look, this is just a job. Like I recently I was watching a guy, he defined it as the mortgage job. It's like, oh no, so this is my mortgage job. I do it. pays my mortgage and my bills, yes. But then after that, there are all these other my own interests that I pursue. I go do this. I work maybe with this group of people, or I play in a band, or I play sport. Um, yeah, it's like these other things I'm not being paid to do, but those, if if I didn't have to to address a mortgage in an efficient way, I'll probably not be doing this, right?
Mm.
Yeah. But
And
you have to do what you have to do.
I think the happier people or the happiest people are those that make that distinction, because it makes the day-to-day grind more palatable, because we all have to work. And finally, when you even pause it and you think about the Christian roots or the religious roots, from the get-go, God told us you will have to toil, you will have to work, you'll have to till the land, you will have to express yourself in a particular way to get something from the land to actually take you forward. So there can never be a place where you don't have that physical work. But the other thing, I don't know how to quote scripture, but I know concepts in it. There is a part in the Bible that actually talks about diversify what you do.
Mm.
Like literally, don't just do one thing. Do many things. Like explore, find out what you like. But you are actually made to be diverse, like to be open and welcoming of everything that tickles you. But I don't know why when we're growing up, we get taught, well, I think I know it's about control, but we get taught just specific things to further an unknown enemy,
Mm.
because it's not always like, if I think of how much work I've done to unpack religion for me and to get to a place where I have a personal relationship with God that has no fear of, if I don't do this, he'll smite me. If I don't go to church, my world will end. My name is not in the book of life. Like, I no longer have those fears. All those things, you know the ones.
I know.
Like, you have to pray like this, like this, like this, or else you'll offend God. I'm like, but God, why is it you sound so petty? Like, you letting me know in this free will make me do A, B, C, and D. You want me to do only this in a particular way. Why did you give me free will? That for me was a very, very profound moment when I was able to question God freely and not feel like I wasn't going to wake up. Like my life would end because I've asked the Almighty something. So I think it's really cool that you don't have to be working for it to be meaningful. You can do something else that, even if you just take a little dig at something and find fulfillment in it, and then you're like, oh, that felt good. Why haven't I ever done that before?
Yeah.
Like we have, our humanity allows us to do that. And sometimes fear, when they enjoy, they're like, oh my God, I can't be doing that. That feels good. It has to feel bad to be valid.
Yeah.
And like, it makes me sad when I meet people like that, and they'll, like, you meet people and like they'll tell you, I want to progress, I want to become a CEO, I want to do this and this. Then you'll meet other people, they'll be like, nah, I want to come to my job. Don't challenge me. Don't ask me to do anything. I want to do A, B, C, and D. I get it at 9. I leave at 5. I leave the job there, and that's it. I don't want to progress. I do not. And you're like, how can we be in the same space but have such different variations of the same experience?
Mm.
And not like, no two people have the same mind, but we have to coexist, and we judge each other for whatever reason. It's actually fascinating.
It is.
You
It's
grow.
very interesting, yeah.
It is.
That thing of the you you're doing the same role, and one is fighting to climb the corporate ladder. The other is like, no, 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 just leave me where I am. That is very, very fascinating. But also the thing of actively uh, finding things that you'd say feed your passion. I think that is the most crucial thing. Like when you figure out how to do that while keeping your world held up,
Yeah.
then you found a breakthrough, I feel like, because
Mm.
I think like when we are not doing the things that feed our passion, or like even we haven't taken the time to recognize them and identify what they are, then we really don't do them. So our passion tank just keeps draining and empties out. And then now we are stuck with this thing which is supposed to be fulfilling, and it doesn't. Like the taste of it. Wait, where'd the balloons come from?
It's your gesture.
Yeah, like the taste of it is is not something we agree with. And
Mm.
we still, it's like the longing we had for to satisfy our passion. It's like it's still there, and we feel like we have sacrificed everything, we have done everything. You get those outcries like, I did everything, I did everything, I've always been good. I followed all the rules, and still this happens. Like, yeah, it's like on top of that, yeah, it's good that
Mm.
you did all that. Maybe you expected too much from that.
Mm.
Yeah, there were all these other things you also needed to do alongside.
You know, the other day Ismail said something to me, and I actually smiled or laughed more like it. And I was like, interesting. He said to me that his boss said to him, she's a cyclist,
Mm,
and she said every time she gets resumes or she's interviewing, one of the things she looks for is people who have hobbies or interests outside of work. And she's like, someone who has nothing else they live for, no interest whatsoever. I actually thought about it and I was like, oh, that's interesting because I never put hobbies on I took it out because for me at the time it felt childish. But now I'm like, yeah, I'll put it back in. And he said to me, he said, she said that to me and I thought, what's my passion? What's my interest? And he's still pondering,
mm,
what's that other stuff he wants to do that's not work, science.
mm,
So I said, that's so true. Interesting that I'm hearing it from you. And that's how the employer sees it. Because I stopped putting it on because I thought, this is something you ask high school kids. But it's actually quite important. I work in a team where my immediate boss does sailing.
mm.
The guy who sits next to me has a farm. The one who sits next to him does cars. Like he's a four-wheel drive enthusiast. On the other side, one does a lot of camping and children's activities. Another one writes books and walks her dog. So just as another one is a weightlifter, just in the small team, there's only one person who actually sits there going, wow, I hear all you guys talk about things you love doing. And I feel like I've missed out on something because I don't know what that thing is for me.
Oh,
Because he works more than anyone I know. 2 a.m. you get up and start working. I'm like, let it go. He'll be sick, but he'll be working. And I could see the pain in his face. He's older than me, but the pain in his face when he's like, you guys have all found that extra something that I haven't. And I'm still grinding and working so hard. And we're like, yeah, this job should only be paying your bills, not draining your soul. But he's still struggling with that. And it actually makes me sad to look at him and realize you actually haven't come to the realization that you can have an off day where you don't do much and it's okay because you work so hard any other time. Or as long as your job gets done, we're at the level where we don't have to account for every minute. if I don't do anything on Thursday, but I have deliverables on Monday, and I know Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I get them done, no one is going to check on that as long as I deliver.
Yeah.
And then you think that people always think, many people assume that age is wisdom. When I'm older, I'll know better. No, if you don't actively seek better, it won't magically fall.
You have to earn the wisdom.
Yeah, he's got severe health issues, and he'll come in with a blood pressure of 168. And he's monitoring himself. The doctors are making him monitor himself. So twice now, he said, I was in that meeting and I just blacked out. I had to step out. Well, like, what's this job to you? What's the cost of this job? Like, your health is literally going through your fingers just because you don't want to be late, just because you don't want to disappoint. When someone the other day said to him, you know what? Think about it this way. If you drop dead today, within 2 months, there'll be someone sitting in your desk unpacking your work.
Yeah.
So you make your choice. Within 2 months, that means within a month, they're already advertising. So it's such a grim realization, but then many, many people miss it.
Yeah. It's overlooked, but it's something like, and I think we need to speak more about it.
You know, Clay, you can speak all you want, but if the person's not ready to hear it,
They're not. Yeah.
they not. And I think in this life, the ability to copy is also very important. If you see someone doing something you don't know how to do, or you want to do, or you'd love to do, the drive to actually say, actually, Clay has done it, let me try. That is important. But when the fear kicks in and you just feel like if you don't have the right answer the first time, that's it. It's so sad. And I look at it, I'm like, how do I encourage my kids or any child I encounter to try and not to be stuck in that place where they think it has to be done a particular way? Sometimes I don't even know how to do it. I'm like, how do I tell these guys right now that it's okay not to know? I don't know. Like when they ask them to do electives and stuff like that, I mean, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, I still don't know what I want to do. And I changed my mind. It's okay. Just choose. Just choose.
Yeah.
If you don't like it anymore, change your mind. I'm okay
That's
with
the
that.
thing. Like, I think it's also, I don't know how to even describe it. Like, it's just something that comes easy for some people. Maybe it's like a personality thing, because I'm pretty much the same with trying. I was telling Fiona the other time, like I've I've gone on a couple of podcasts now, and people have been watching those things and we're like, oh, you should actually do your own. You should do your own. And it's not like it's something I've thought of doing, but like didn't really think about how to do it or put in effort, invest in. And so I've been on the edge of it. It's like, should I not? You overthink it, you try. So I was saying that the other day, I'm like, you know what? I think it's time to figure this part out, whether it works or not. So I will start doing things and see how those things go. So even this, I'm testing to see how it all works, and it's all offline. Like nothing is being published yet, but eventually, at some point when I've done a few conversations, because like I don't talk with too many people. Just like it's like a few people I have conversations with, and that's it. But if you're going to do a thing like that, you have to speak to many more people. Like, of course, you're going to have your favorites, but still, you have to have
Broad.
that flexibility to sort of just strike up a conversation and hold the space for it and go with it for a considerable time with even someone you've just met. And so it's like, oh, I have to build that muscle. It's like, okay, I don't know why do I have to do that? It's like, oh, but yeah, okay, cool. I get why I have to do it now. But I've time boxed it. So it's like this, we're going to work on this for like a year, and then we'll see. It's like maybe in a year's time, I realize, yeah, this is not something I want to do. It's too much work. It's too hard work for me. And yeah, no. Or I
You know,
realize that it's a thing that works, and then I will go like, okay, now let's put some serious effort in it. Yeah.
see, every time I think about podcasts, I think if I ever had a podcast, it would have to be 100% random to hold my interest. Like you walk in one day, there's a panel of you, and you choose from a hat. This is the topic. But
No,
anytime I have to overthink it and plan it like that, I
yeah.
think I'll run.
No, for
Mm.
me, actually, you'll be surprised if I tell you my strategy for it
Mm.
is it's random, and you're going to ask how.
Mm.
But it actually is. It's like, so my whole strategy for it is, it's just having a conversation with someone.